We have a motion on the floor.
I'm wondering if I may speak. I did not register in time.
It's up to council if they wish to hear another speaker.
Okay, it's a dangerous moment in the meeting. If everyone else promises not to put up their hand to speak, I think I would be happy to entertain one more speaker, and then we're going to close the speakers list and move into discussion. You'll give us your name and okay.
My name is Dave Goodman. I'm with McDonald Commercial, and I've been involved in the sale of apartment buildings for the last 25 years. I'm here to address my concern with what I consider to be an ill-conceived and punitive initiative being proposed by this council. I say ill-conceived because I very much doubt that a lot of study has gone into this item, and studied by this council or any previous council. And I think it's punitive because I think we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Let's look at government's role here on the supply side. And I think this is one of the problems that should be discussed federally, provincially, and on a municipal level. There have been few, if any, incentives to provide for more supply. I know that the construction industry would very much like to be able to
it sounds very much like you're speaking to item 3 around the Residential Tenancy Act and not item 1.
Well, everything with respect to the initiative about renovations and tenancies.
The motion on number 1 asks for a report from staff about both the procedures and the specific steps. And if you're speaking to the motion, that's fine, but I just wanted to clarify.
All right, fine. I think there's been a lack of incentives for the apartment industry with respect to developing more supply. I say federally, provincially, and at the municipal level. Here, locally, we could certainly look at the lack of density and height incentives. I don't think there's any doubt that there have been owners who have probably strayed over the line. But to penalize the entire industry, I think, is a very, very dangerous precedent. And that guidelines should be developed between the BC Apartment Owners Association and the city in cooperation in a very positive, proactive way. The city owns an awful lot of land. If you'd like to explore the idea of developing rental housing, I'm sure this is something that you might want to pursue. You have the land. You know that vacancies are 0.5%. There's a large element of people who are looking for accommodation. And if you wanted to enter the apartment business and learn about the slim margins that many apartment owners have to put up with because of such items as rent control, which has been mandated by the provincial government, you'll soon discover that the business of running apartment buildings is about returning a profit. There are buildings in Vancouver that I'm aware of. Let's take a typical 15 or 20 suiter on the east side, where the rents for a one-bedroom are $500 a month. The building is in a very serious state of disrepair. The building should be sold to someone who's prepared to go in and spend $500,000, get rid of the mold, the poor windows, a leaking roof, etc. The only way he's going to be able to do that is to give notice to all the tenants. What you're saying in this initiative or related initiative is that that can't be done or should not be done. This is going to exacerbate a serious problem, particularly if we look at the possibility of slums. So I would ask that the city on the on the item that is being proposed, to think out very carefully what the intentions of this council are, because I think it will provide serious disincentives for the industry, and will not do anything to encourage or expand housing supply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman, I believe. Councillor Stevenson, you had a question for the speaker.
Well, I think Mr. Goodman is speaking, actually, Chair, to the wrong motion. I think that his comments are to the next motion rather than the enforcement of the maintenance bylaw. But I want to assure Mr. Goodman that these are neither, either this motion or the next one are neither ill-conceived nor are they punitive. In fact, they have been thought over for a number of years and are just coming now to this council because we have a new council that chooses to deal with them. But I think he'll find that indeed not only are they not ill-conceived, but they're certainly not punitive, and we do want to work with landlords such as himself or commercial realtors.
Well, I'm delighted to hear those comments that you don't feel that they're punitive. I think if owners were to discuss this with you on or off the record, if this proposed initiative should be passed or sent up the ladder, I think it'll send a very, very serious message to the investment industry, particularly as it relates to rental housing. And if you have ever owned an apartment building, sir, I think that you would understand that the idea of not allowing an apartment owner to get a reasonable rate of return on his investment after spending $300,000, $400,000, or $500,000 and capping the rents, I think is a rather onerous message to the investment community and to apartment owners.
Well, I think we can get to that when we're dealing with that motion. But I would say that that what you're speaking of is the next motion, sir, not this motion. And the next motion is entirely in line of what happens in Ontario, what's going on in Ontario, and there's a great deal of investment in Ontario.
Just to bring us back to this motion, the Speaker has assured us he believes that he is speaking on this, and it's far from us to presume how people feel it's best to address it. So, Councillor Anton, I think you have a question.
No.
Mr. Goodman, we have the two motions today, both dealing with rentals in different ways, and the one we're talking about right now is the standards of maintenance. In other words, making sure the buildings are properly maintained, if there's holes in the roofs or the heat doesn't work and so on.
I apologize to the council for moving ahead on this little too quickly.
No, that's okay, because you represent a group. I mean, you know a lot about rental buildings, and I would like to ask if you have a comment specifically on our ability to take enforcement orders against buildings that haven't been maintained properly or are not keeping the heat on, or letting the roof leak, or allowing mold to grow and so on.
Well, I would say this is inexcusable, and there should be penalties against those very few owners that allow this to happen. I think in this day and age, there's virtually there's no justification in this type of action.
Okay. Ms. Windsor, who is there, is going to be doing some consultation on this, and I hope you'll be able to leave your name with her so that you can be part of that consultation. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions and the clear being queued, we can